ourselves out. That's where a lot of people lose the battle at. You know, we trying to go into the game with a positive mindset and not negativity.
When you look at their offense, they got three pretty good running backs. Starts obviously to bring runs. Right? They got a huge offensive line. What's your take on their offense?
They high powered. Everybody on the offensive line, receivers, tight ends, running backs, quarterback especially, are very talented. Their backups are talented. They're loaded. So we just trying to prepare the best we can. And our scout team been trying to give us a great look, so we've been appreciating that.
Who's been running scout team quarterback in the league?
Dalton Hyatt. He's been running the most scout team quarterback, trying to give us a look for Jalen Hurts.
Well, what do you see from Hurts? How's he look compared to last year? He was pretty good last year, but in the league,
arms got better. He knows when to take off and run with it. He knows when to sit in the pocket better now. Legs got better. He looks like he's faster this year. I feel like overall he just became a better football player. He's like Joe Cool back there, you know. He just calm the whole time.
How do you think Scooter's played this season?
I feel like he's played great, man. I feel like Scooter one of the best linebackers in the SEC. I feel that he comes up and make the plays he make, and the plays he shouldn't make, he makes some of those too. So I feel like he's developed great this year.
What's he doing that impresses you? Why is he making all these tackles?
I don't know. He's just cleaning it up. He cleaned it up off my side, man. If I'm in a big gap and I'm holding my gap, he come over top and make that play. If he needs to make a tackle when it busts out, he's making it. It's just like he's real energetic on my side, and I be feeding off of that.
Welcome back to our Thursday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, as we opened up with audio from sophomore defensive end McTelvin Sosa Agim of the University of Arkansas. McTelvin talked about the offense of Alabama, talked about Jalen Hurts, talked about Scooter Harris, just Scooter's growth at the linebacker position here for the University of Arkansas. But we want to continue on and get you ready for a lot of SEC football that takes place each and every week around the conference. And we hadn't talked to him in a couple of weeks. We were trying to get him yesterday. Unfortunately, had some business, and work always comes before this. But we caught up with him today, and we're going to bring in the Daily Columbian's Danny Jones. Danny, welcome to the Hill, my man.
Thanks a lot for having me. Always a pleasure.
Tough last few weeks for the University of Missouri football program, heading into another yet a tough opponent, top 5 opponent against the Georgia Bulldogs. What can Coach Oldham and staff do to get this team up for this ball game and maybe a possible upset, as large of a task it may seem?
Yeah, it's a huge challenge this week. Missouri did look better against Kentucky than they have probably since week 1 against Missouri State, but still some things that they have to iron out. They've made some critical errors in that Kentucky game, a couple of big plays given up on defense. Special teams let them down on a couple of field goal attempts. So, it's a tough spot to be in, to play a lot better last week, but then have to take that momentum and try to turn it into a result at Georgia, which is a team probably, for my money, playing as well as anybody in the country. Probably the only 2 teams I would rather not see at this point in the season would be Alabama and Clemson. So tough task for the Tigers to go in there on homecoming, a night game at Sanford Stadium to try to beat the Georgia Bulldogs.
Danny, when you look at this football team defensively, how much of a burden is it for your offense if you're Missouri to feel like each and every Saturday you have to basically go out and pretty much outscore opponents, on that side of the ball? Is that starting to weigh on this football team, in your opinion?
Well, I think that was the expectation a lot of people had for this team going into the year, was that the offense would have to carry the defense. The offense brought back 10 starters from last year, and at times looked pretty good, but really it's been pretty inconsistent. And there is potential, obviously, with Drew Lock in the arm that he has and his ability to connect on deep balls. They have some pretty fast receivers, obviously. Jonathan Johnson, Emmanuel Hall are guys that can be vertical receiving threats. But They just haven't been able to do it on a week-in, week-out basis. Going into that Kentucky game, they just averaged 10 points over their last 3 games, and Drew Lock has traditionally struggled against Power 5 and definitely against conference opposition. So that was the expectation going into the season, but I think for as much talent as that offensive unit has, it's hard to rely on that to be the unit that's going to carry you through. It hasn't showed that it has that potential.
When you look at this, and last question before I let you go, thanks for taking time out of your busy day to join me. What's the one main key when traveling down between the hedges of this Missouri football team that they have to take care of that'll give them its best chance to pull off this big upset this Saturday down in Athens?
Well, they can't make any mistakes. To beat a team like Georgia, you just have to pretty much play a perfect game, especially when you're playing there in Athens. One thing Missouri hasn't done all season that they absolutely have to do if they want to be anywhere close, they have to win the turnover battle, and that's been a struggle all year. Missouri is -10 in the turnover battle this year. You have to get turnovers on the defensive side. You have to force the ball out, give your offense a chance to make some plays with good field position. And offensively, you can't give Georgia any opportunities with a short field because they will take care of business. So that has to be an area that Mizzou improves on this week. If they're going to have a chance at Georgia, they have to win the turnover battle.
Hey, Danny, as always, love the updates, Mizzou style, and looking forward to talking to you about a little basketball that we got coming up here in the coming weeks. But as always, my man, thanks for taking time out on OTH.
Okay, thanks a lot.
That was Danny Jones of the Daily Columbian, and that's going to wrap up and conclude today's episode of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk. I want to bring in my host and producer as well for a quick take on today's OTH and what could people look for? Which segment do you think is going to iHeart tonight?
I think it was a lot of good information out of the Texas A&M. Just Kevin Sumlin and the job he's doing down there at Texas A&M.
What about what are you taking from what's going on at Vandy and down in Missouri? Are these two programs really in need of victories, or is it a lack of talent? Which way are you going on that?
I think it's just a lack of culture right now in both programs. I think Butch still not yet resonated with what he's trying to instill there and the type of program and atmosphere he wants for his players, especially down there in Como. I think that's another place where these guys really haven't yet found their identity of which direction to take these guys. Anytime you take on a group of kids from another coach, it's always kind of hard for them to believe in the system and understand the type of program you want to run.
I agree, and we want to conclude with those statements and say thank you to our guest, Fletcher Wheatley of Agio.com. He came on, and like Dee said, look for his episode to be podcast tonight on iHeartRadio. Fletcher Wheatley of Agio.com came on to talk to Aggies. Also, too, we want to give a big thank you to Adam Sparks of the Tennessean. He came on and gave us what's up with the Commodores. And also, lastly, Danny Jones of the Daily Columbian. He told us what's Missouri's plan for heading down to Georgia to pull off this big upset. I want to thank all our sponsors, Lindsay & Associates, with locations in Fayetteville, locations also, too, in Rogers. Lindsay & Associates, we bring great neighbors together. Also, Locomotion is located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. And lastly, Fun City. You can catch them just off the 412 bypass in Springdale, Arkansas. And tomorrow, we all know what that show is. It's all about the A. We'll have a lot of Razorback talk as we take you on up to kickoff, 6:15 in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, number 1 ranked Alabama versus the 2-3 Arkansas Razorbacks. Until then, it's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins. You guys have a blessed one.